Hey, thank you for wanting to listen to the next chapter of Star Trek Voyager Season 8. If you didn't know, these chapters are just pieces from a larger episode. If you want to listen to the entirety of a full episode, check out the playlist in the show description. Otherwise, on with the story. Thank you for listening.
Head pressed against the runabout window, black, glassy eyes stared as the craft descended onto Starfleet Academy's flight deck. The shoreline of the Presidio, campus buildings and cityscape of San Francisco drew closer, and the unchanged scenery proved to the passenger the peninsula existed in a stasis field. The runabout settled with the grace of a resting Inyo mule deer. Its side door yawned, allowing in the climb of the Californian morning and forcing out the artificial air-conditioned oxygen. Cadets, educators, and esteemed guests traversed the campus's well-kept gardens. 3 people stepped out onto the flight deck. One individual strengthened his view of the Academy grounds. The other 2 scanned the vicinity, registering the new environment. Seven's oldest memories as Annika living on Earth counted for nothing. She and Icheb observed their friend absorb the scenery, smiling. Harry had disembarked first, his carry sack slung over a shoulder and holding Icheb's portable regenerator in his other hand. He paused and watched his legs reacquaint themselves with the closest thing he had reached to home soil after 7 years. The smell of real Earth grass carried him forward. His final 2 travel companions followed. Icheb looked under one of his feet, attempting to understand the lieutenant's mannerism. The arrival into the Presidio held significance to Mr. Kim. Behind them, their ride lifted away to ferry other passengers from the Planitia shipyard. Harry carried authority in his stride. He escorted both strangers to Earth across the institution's flight level, through the gardens to the school's entrance. Barely 20 minutes ago, he traipsed around Voyager and boarded his connecting flight to Earth. The energized man marched in front of the X-Borg after offering his official presence earlier. Voyager's ex-operations officer owed Tuvok and couldn't let his friends approach the campus alone. The chances of spying Boothby remained slim. He tended to the park's southern side. Reminiscing over the gardener, Harry also thought about his old lecturers teaching Icheb as well. With Harry's outdated uniform and Seven's streamlined attire, attention turned their way. He cupped his hand around his mouth.
Maybe we should have accepted Patterson's offer of an escort.
Seven scanned the vicinity.
It would have drawn more scrutiny onto us.
Officers and cadets stared, distracted. Others acknowledged and carried on with their tasks. Nobody approached the away team. Harry ignored people's reactions. Seven didn't, and noted Harry's efficiency with getting them to where they needed to be. She had memorized the Academy grounds schematics. They proved an inadequate replacement for the real thing, and recalled stardate 52136.4 when she dismissed Captain Janeway's offer of exploring 8472's recreation of Starfleet Command and Academy campus. The uncomfortableness ceased to be relevant once Icheb enrolled, and she could limit her exposure to the public. She side-glanced, unsure of the attention. The 80 paces covered reminded her of the first weeks aboard Voyager, when the crew adapted to her presence. She wondered if the 9 billion individuals on Earth had to adapt as well, and if the Barclay hologram told the truth about her inspiring millions. Seven preferred her aunt's place as the venue for her first appearance after evaluating her current situation. Icheb accompanied Harry, unfazed.
This is it, the admissions office,
the graduate announced with a sigh.
Thank you, Lieutenant, for bringing me, even though I knew the way.
Sure, but I had to show you something. Something no detailed schematic could explain.
Harry lifted a finger and pointed across the water.
While you're here, over in the Marin Headlands, that's where our captain's trial will be.
My entry into Starfleet coincides with Captain Janeway's proposed departure.
Harry nodded.
Exactly.
Icheb re-examined the vista.
Thank you for the insight, sir.
He climbed the steps. Seven accompanied him. Harry granted the pair a private moment. A faculty member stood at the top and waved.
Hello again, Icheb.
Campus talk of their arrival had reached the admissions department. Both newcomers recognized her as a guest Tuvok invited to the Delta dinner. With a subtle roll of her shoulders, Seven centered herself and filled her lungs with a steadying breath.
This isn't dissimilar to the first time we said goodbye. Not as final, but it feels like I'm leaving you on another world. Again.
Icheb smiled.
You are leaving me on another world.
Seven lifted her chin.
You joke. But first Naomi, now you. I did not anticipate these emotions.
Seven collected the teardrop from her cheek, analyzing it.
It's okay. New destinies will commence.
More tears littered Seven's compression suit as they embraced in a lingering hug. Icheb retracted his arms. His eyes shined with unshed emotion. With a deep, steadied breath, Icheb climbed the remaining steps and strode with the same eagerness Seven had watched him express aboard Voyager. Already his life brimmed with experiences, many of which Seven had been instrumental in shaping, stood aside to allow him to forge his own. Her gaze filled with a mix of pride and wistfulness. As he shrank into the distance, she acknowledged this journey's chapter had ended. She stepped forward and raised her voice.
Don't forget to regenerate!